I have a reasonable question for you today. Are you open for business? Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, lead, and inspire. And today we're going to talk about what it takes to be a reasonably successful person. We're going to chunk down the word reasonable and figure out what it takes to be successful. And we're going to find that it takes the proper philosophy, attitude, and activity. So you're invited to join Eli and me as we become most reasonable today. Well, you know, Eli, when you talk about being reasonable, usually that has a negative connotation. Let me explain to you what I mean about that, all right? Somebody says to you, "Oh, come on, be reasonable." That means you can't do it your way, you have to do it some other way, or you can't do the job at all. Figure out what it takes to be reasonable in a positive aspect. And what we're going to discuss today, now this is an analogy that can be used for business, for social, but I'm going to use something, Eli, that you can certainly identify with in my analogy. And keep in mind the first few letters of the word analogy is anal, okay? So we're going to get into some detail here. Our analogy is about you, a 5'8", 15-year-old kid, dunking a basketball. Because I know that that's something that you really, really want to do. So let's get reasonable, all right? What does it take to be reasonable? Well, first of all, you have to have, you want to accomplish a specific outcome. And it's best to visualize big and have specific, smaller focuses to help you on your road to that accomplishment. We're going to chunk it down, just the same way as you are already doing this. That's why I'm using this example about dunking a basketball. Now, you're 5'8", and you're, not Superman per se as far as jumping ability, but you have pretty good springs in those legs, all right? And I'm seeing you do more and more, and you're building up, you're in the weight room, so on and so forth. You're doing little things. There's one right there. You're in the weight room. You're building up the strength of your legs, all right? But you need a reason, a why, a vision, a purpose, a passion, an identity, a value creator, a momentum builder, a spark of success that makes you believe. You need a starting line. Well, let's go over these different things. First of all, the why. Well, you see all these guys on Sports Center dunking the basketball. You have a vision of being a great basketball player, which I strongly encourage. And one of the things that great basketball players do in the course of a game is they dunk the basketball. You have a why, a strong why. It's something that you can see yourself accomplishing because you have the vision. You can see yourself with the ball. You can see yourself eye level with the net, your hands over the rim, dunking the basketball. The purpose, the passion is to be a dominant player. You want to get the ball inside. You want to, even at 5'8", you want to turn around and you want to dunk it in somebody's face to show your dominance as a basketball player. That's your identity. That's what you're looking to do. And it creates value. Why? Because certainly it's 2 points. Certainly it's a very high percentage shot when you're right there and you go, all right? Also, though, it excites the team. It gets everybody motivated. It gets the people in the stands motivated when you're able to do that. It's a momentum builder. It's a momentum builder. All right? You come out of there and you're in the zone. It's all right, we did that. If you make an outstanding play, that gets your team going. But what you need to get started with is a starting line. And right now, we're not able to dunk the basketball. But we need a spark of success that makes you believe that you can get the job done. So the first thing is you have all these things, you have the vision, but what's the starting line? What's the spark of success that is giving you some inspiration to get this job done of dunking a basketball. And once again, the same thing applies to business, social, whatever. What's the spark of success you're looking for? Well, in your particular case, and you've already accomplished this, is from a running start, and this was a year or so ago, you're able to jump and touch the net. That was a milestone for you. You've taken what you want. You want to dunk the basketball, and you're chunking it down into smaller pieces. The next thing that you accomplished was from a standing position. You jumped up and you touched the net. Another milestone. All right, you're getting excited. Hey, Dad, I can touch the net from a standing position. All right, what's the next milestone? The next milestone is from a running start, reaching up and touching the rim. Hey, Dad, I got the rim. I touched the rim. All right, this is another milestone. And you haven't accomplished this one yet, although you're very, very close, is reaching the rim from a standing position without jumping. So think of all the different things that you did put in place to reach this position, right? What we talked about, the why, the purpose, the visualization, the activity. Now, also, the first time you tried touching the rim as an example, you didn't do it. You were unable to do it. But you had the proper attitude. You had the I will not be denied attitude. So the first part of reasonable is you need to have a reason why. The why. That's critical, right? Now the next thing under the heading of reasonable, chunking it down, is common sense. You need a success model. You need someone that's already done it that you can mimic. No reason to reinvent the wheel. So you watched other kids and you saw other kids who were also excited about how high they could jump, hoping to be able to jam the basketball at one time. You watched them from a running start touch the net, and you copied what they did. And then you saw the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and you kept moving forward with it. So you had a success model, and you had a singular focus without distraction. You have sent me from a Snapchat, hey Dad, take a look at this. And you're showing me where you're running, and you're touching the net, and you're touching the rim, and you put the camera down, and you had a singleness of focus on achieving that particular outcome. And Eli, let me confess to you something. When I was your age, I had the same singular focus. All right? Basketball players all have that same dream of being able to dunk the basketball. You have to also have a resolve. Now, what is a resolve? All right, we had New Year's resolutions. Resolve comes from resolution comes from the word resolve. Resolve is promising yourself that you will never give up until you achieve the outcome that you're seeking. That's resolve. That's the necessary function. Let me give you an example. How long should it take for a child, a toddler, to learn to walk? Ask her mother, how long should it take? It should take as long as it takes. I'm not going to give up. My child is not going to give up. My child is going to learn to walk. That's resolve. So you've done it in the past. But the thing is, you had the vision. You saw other people around you as a child walking around. You saw them moving forward. You saw them moving to the side. And there you were on your hands and knees, and you said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to get up on my legs and I'm going to walk. Everything in life is like that. It takes the resolve. If you want it badly enough, if you can visualize yourself doing it, you're going to get that job done. Now, you also have to have a flexibility about it. And when I say a flexibility, what I mean is you have to be in a position to try different things. So as an example, when you're practicing dunking, the first thing you think about is, well, should I jump off my right foot? Should I jump off my left foot? Should I jump off both feet? What's the best way? When I do a running start, Where should I jump from in order to touch the rim? Should I be close to the basket? Should I be a step away? Should I be moving forward? Should I be running faster? Should I be running slower? So you have a flexibility of what it takes to get the job done. And you employed that same flexibility, we all did, when we learned to walk. Because what we were doing was we were testing our state of balance. Same thing is true with riding a bicycle. Remember the first time, Eli? I probably don't, but I do. It's one of my favorite memories of riding a bicycle. Of you riding a bicycle, you're on the bike, you're a little afraid, or like, oh, I'm going to fall off. All right, and there I am running alongside of you. Good thing I was in shape. Running alongside of you with the bike, and I'm here. I'm not going to let you fall. I'm not going to let you fall. And you're there with your balance, and you're testing your balance. And you fell down a few times. I was there to catch you, and you fell down a few times when I wasn't there to catch you. But what you have to do is you have to achieve the balance, and you do that by trial and error. Any of these things sound familiar, Eli? I mean, this is what we're talking about in the success formula. So you have to have the reason why, and reason also means figuring something out, having some common sense. So one of the things that you don't want to do is you don't want to put up walls that say, I can't do it this way. The same walls that keep out disappointment also keep out happiness. So as an example, somewhere down the road, Eli, when you are pursuing that special someone that you might like to make as your significant other person, a girlfriend, somebody that you say, boy, this is somebody that I really want to be with, you're going to be willing to try different things. You're not going to put up a wall. You're not going to have to be just like everybody else doing it. You're going to be creative. That's the way to get the job done, is by constantly being creative, by not having any walls put up blocking you. And also you want to have a measuring element, a timeline. When you set a goal, what's the difference between a dream and a goal? Very simple. A goal is a dream with a timeline. As an example, one of the questions that people ask, and I got this from a Jim Rohn video, I thought it was great, the way he says it is, how long should it take your son or daughter to pass the 4th grade? Everybody in the audience laughed a little bit, and he said, approximately. How many years should it take? It should take 1 year, obviously. So you need to figure what's a timeline that's an achievable timeline. So you set for yourself, all right, I'm going to touch the net by a certain date. The next thing is I'm going to touch the rim, and I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to have that done by this time next month. I'm going to be touching that rim. Or in business, if you can tell how someone performs by their actions. Remember, we're talking about philosophy, attitude, and activity. Let's suppose you're the leader of a sales organization and you have a new candidate that's working with you, and you say, you know what? You need to have 10 appointments by the end of the week. And we're going to keep track of everything. We're going to measure to see how you're progressing. So at the end of the week, you call Mr. Jones over and you say, Mr. Jones, how many sales presentations do we have this week? And he starts, I says, well, let me explain. And you say, you know what? I have a little checklist here, and I have a little box where I want to put, what do I want to put in there? I want to put a number. I'm measuring. I want to put a number. I don't have room to put a story. I want to put a number. So it's a commitment that you make. Now, if that's Mr. Jones, he's going to give you some creative excuses. Now, Sally, who you've also trained, when you ask that question, how many sales presentations did you make? She's going to say 15. All right, you only asked for 10 minimum, but you got 15. What does that tell you about Sally? That tells you that Sally really wants it. Once again, it's philosophy, it's attitude, it's activity. The last part of the word reasonable is the word able. We talked about reason, you have to have a why and because. We had talked about reason, you have to have common sense. Now let's talk about able. You know, many people think that, oh, this guy's smarter than I am, or she's got more skills than I do, or, you know what? Basically, we all have the same skills. What it really boils down to is want to. Let me give you an example of what I mean. You know, people say, oh, I want to be a problem solver. Well, we all have the capacity to be problem solvers. How do you do that? We've gone over this before. I'll give you a brief summary right now again. You visualize the solution. You visualize the end result. You don't visualize this. You know, of course, you've tried logically a few things to get there, but it wouldn't be a problem if you could get to it logically just like that. So we're talking about something that you've worked on for a period of time. So you put the vision in your mind, and you put the vision in your mind when you wake up in the morning. You put the vision in your mind of the solution when you go to sleep at night. You don't put as part of the vision the ways that you've tried and failed already. Why is that the case? Because if you want the universal mind to partner with you, you have to distinguish that thought. You have to make it clear that that solution is what you're seeking, and then you have to allow your mind to relax, because we receive inspirations, intuitive thoughts, so to speak, from the infinite mind best when we are in a relaxed state. So you need that intensity to get that problem out there, to get the universal mind to help you, and you need to discipline yourself to put yourself in a relaxed state, and you have to be in a position to capture the bits and pieces that come to you so that you can help solve your problem. That's how you solve problems. But most people will not go to the trouble to do that. And that's why they're not good problem solvers. We all have that capability, but we're not being reasonable about it. We're not focusing on it. All right? So these are the things that separate the 5% from the 95%. You know, you've got to chunk things down. And once again, the key thing is you have to have the right philosophy. You have to have the right attitude, and you have to have activity with trial and error to move you forward. And when you have these three components, these three reasonable components, you are then open for business. Okay, our thought for the day, very simply, is from, actually we have two thoughts for the day, one for you all and one primarily for Eli. The first thought of the day is from Terry Goodkind, and I quote, "History is rarely made by reasonable men." And Eli, here's my special quote of the day for you. And this is from a gentleman named Dov Davidoff. And I quote once again, "Someday I'd like to be a father, not of a human child, but something more reasonable." And because we'll never end our meeting on a philosophical note, let's get out there, get excited, and charge! I'm Eli's dad.